Okay, so now that we have defined all of our different definitions, talked about our abbreviations, talked a little bit about our simple interest formula, we're going to go through and do some applications. Right, so for example 1, we are going to use our simple interest formula to find the following. A loan of $690 is made at 8.6% simple interest for 2 years. How much interest is owed when the loan is due? Right, so we're going to use our simple interest formula, I equals P times R times T. All right, so one thing I'm going to do with this problem, just like I did with my percent problems in the last section, is I'm going to start by listing out all of the different pieces of information that I have. P is our principal. That's the amount that is borrowed at the beginning. So that's 690. Right? Our rate is 8.6%. Right? We want to shift our decimal point 2 places to the left. So we're going to have 0.086. Our time, we're told, is 2 years. Right? So our time is 2 years. Right? And again, unless we're told otherwise, we're going to assume that our interest rate is per year as well. Right? And our interest, our I, is what we're looking for. Right? So I is going to be our question mark. So now we're going to plug all of these numbers into our formula. I equals 690. That's our P. Times our R, 0.086. Times our I, which is 2. Right, and then we're going to just plug all of these into our calculator. So as we do that, we're going to take 690 times 0.086 times 2, and we get 118.68. So our interest is $118.68. This one worked out nicely, worked out perfectly with our multiplication. No rounding or anything was necessary. However, if you do end up with something that does need to be rounded, remember as we're going through this section, we're thinking about money. Right? Money should be rounded to 2 place values. All right, so let's do another simple interest example right below here. Right, this one's going to be a little more complicated. So as we're working through this one, there's going to be a little bit of extra information that we're going to need to consider, but we're still using our same basic formula. So we're still going to use I equals P times R times T. Right. So to obtain money for new eyeglasses, Gilbert decides to pawn his trumpet. Gilbert borrows $240 and after 30 days gets his trumpet back by paying the pawnbroker $288. What annual rate of interest did Gilbert pay? All right, so we're going to start by making a list of things that we know. All right, so the principal is $240. Right, that's what was borrowed. Our interest, well, we're told that he pays back $288. So we're going to take 288 minus 240, right, to get $48 in interest. Right? So if we have our final value and our principal, the difference between those two is the extra interest that was paid. Our time. Notice that our time is given in days. Right? So just to kind of make a little note here, our time was given in days. Right, so that's the big difference between this problem and the one that we did previous to this. Because our time is given in days, we need to change this to years because that's what our interest rate is. We're looking for. We're looking for an annual interest rate. So our time is 30 days. According to our banker's rule on the previous page, remember that we're using 360 days instead of 365 as a year. We can reduce this down. 30 divided by 360 reduces to 1/12, right? Or 1 month is 1/12 of a year. Right? Our interest rate, our R, right? That is what we're looking for. Right? So we're going to plug these values in. Right? So 480 equals our principal, which is 240, times R, which we don't know, times T, which is 1/12. Right. Excuse me, that shouldn't be 480, that should just be 48. I added an extra 0 on there accidentally. right, so 48, because that's our amount of interest. We're going to go ahead and multiply our fractions here. So I'm going to kind of show these all step by step. Feel free to use a calculator if you want to. If I multiply 240 times 1/12, right, I have 240, which is really over 1, times 1/12, which gives us 240/12, which then we can reduce or divide. 240 divided by 12 gives us 20. So I'm going to use this value to put in place of here. So this 240 times this 1/12 is going to give us 20. So we have 20 times r. Right, then to finish this off, to find our r, we're going to divide by 20. Right, we're going to get a decimal. We get 2.4, which then we need to shift our decimal point 2 places to the right to get an interest rate. So that's going to give us 240% for our annual interest rate. Right. 240% is a ridiculous high percent for an annual interest rate, but because of the situation and type of loan, it is actually the correct number, even though it looks very, very large.